All right, I just wanted to talk about my teacher situation, my school situation. I teach a multi-grade class of 3 kindergartners, 1 first grader, and 3 second graders. So I have 7 students at the moment. My school situation is different. I work in a private school, a private Lutheran school, and we also have preschool and daycare. So it goes from ages 2 all the way up to 2nd grade. So in the morning time, I clock in about 7:30 every morning. And I do daycare from 7:30 to 8:30. Then at 8:30, we do breakfast. And then at 9, I start my class, which is the multi-grade class of kindergarten, first and second. Then at about 11:30, I go down the hill and I clock out from my lunch, and the kids go to recess from 11:30 to 12, and then they go to lunch from 12 to 12:30, and I clock back in at 12:30. And after they go to lunch and I pick them up, we come back up to my classroom and I finish the lesson from 12:30 to 3, and then at 3 we go to snack, and snack is from 3 to 3:30, and then from 3:30 to the rest of the day, or the rest of my shift, we do daycare, only daycare. So it is a little different than the normal, oh, I just have one class and I work from 8 to 5 or whatever. No. So my schedule is from 7:30 to whenever we get down to 30 kids. So sometimes I go home at 3, sometimes I go home at 3:30 or 4 or 4:30. I love it. I love working this because I get to see ages 2 to 2nd grade, and I get to interact with all of them in the morning time and all of them in the afternoon. I just wanted to explain that to you guys because it is a little different than the normal. It really is. Alrighty guys, it is my lunch hour now and the kids are off eating lunch and I'm in my classroom. And today was the first day back from spring break. So far it's going really well. The kids are a little loud, but they're actually down and doing their task the way they need to. We had new spelling words this morning, so they did really well with them. We always on Monday we do a pre-test, just to see if they know what their spelling words are, like how to spell them. And so I just give them all their spelling words and let them just write it the way they want to, and I don't grade it. It's just for their brain to start thinking about the week. And then we do another worksheet with the spelling words that are word-shaped boxes where they have to write the specific word in the box. That I do grade, and they love that one. Then for math, we were doing something totally different between the classes. 2nd grade was doing multiplication with 5s, and they were also doing mixed fractions. And they loved doing the fractions. They were kind of competing against each other to see who can get their paper done the fastest, which I am fine with that as long as they're understanding what they're doing. 1st grade was doing 2-digit subtraction, so like 18 minus 10. And she didn't have any difficulty with that at all. She went through it within minutes. Kindergarten was doing shapes. Again, they were reviewing their shapes. So they had to take a bunch of shapes and make a picture out of it and then color the shapes in. So that was fun. And then we started on our plants. After lunch, they're going to do a worksheet or a kind of like a little talk through about plant life. Tomorrow we're going to put a booklet together about how plants actually go through their cycle from seed to plant. And then next week we're going to actually plant some seeds and see how that grows for the rest of the school year. So I think today, behavior-wise, I've only had one kid that was not behaving really nicely. He kept getting out of his seat. He kept yelling at another student for no reason, and he just didn't want to be at his desk at all. So I actually told him that if he can sit down for 15 minutes and finish his worksheet, that he can get up and walk around the whole entire classroom, and then he has to come back to his seat and finish work for 15 more minutes, and then he can walk around the classroom. He finished all of his work within 20 minutes, and then he walked around the whole entire classroom 3 times, and then he went back to doing an activity, because we do activities after we do the worksheet. So when they're done with their math, they can choose something out of a math cabinet, and he chose to do Jenga blocks. They like to stack them up as high as they can and knock them over. That's fine. They also, some of them choose to do, we call them click blocks. They're just blocks that click together and they make little things out of them, and sometimes they stack them up and try to knock them over, but most of the time they just make like little fidget spinners out of them, and they have to color code them, and they have to use a certain amount to make the fidget spinner. And also sometimes they use the shapes to make things, or they use geoboards, which are pegboards, and they just use rubber bands to make shapes out of them. So every day after math, they get to choose something out of the math cabinet. That's my lunch break so far. Right now I'm going to grade some papers because progress reports come out on the 16th. It is the 2nd, so I have a few days to get those done. I have 2 weeks. And also I need to figure out what song we're going to sing for graduation and what memory verse we're going to do. All right, so I will catch you guys after school. So this afternoon was a little bit different. We normally come in from lunch and sometimes we do our English right away. So I have 2nd grade do a little writing activity, and then we go into our reading, and then we go into some memory verse, which is part of their handwriting. They get a memory verse, and then they have to write it out every day so that they will remember it on Friday. And sometimes we have to, recite that on Sundays in church after they sing a song that we have prepared for them, that we practice all month long, basically. Today was a little different because I had a few guest students in my class. Like I've said earlier, we have daycare at our school as well. So when the regular public school students are out of school, they can come to our school, and then we have a daycare program that they can, basically join in on. Well, I had to join me up in my classroom, and as my students were doing their work, they were following along and doing it with them. One student didn't really want to do it, so I had her do puzzles, and then she played with some Legos, and then she colored. But the other student wanted to do it, and so I let him do 1st grade's work since he is in 1st grade. My students did English. 2nd grade did English. They had a writing assignment where they had to write the steps on how to make a telephone call. And then 1st grade had matching opposite words. So push, pull, that stuff. And then they had reading work. 2nd grade's reading work was they had to read Henry and Mudge and the Starry Night, and they had to answer some questions that went along with the story. 1st grade's reading was hear the music, and it was basically about a religious song, and then she had to underline words that had the prefix un, so like unholy or unjust or ungodly or stuff like that. Kindergarten's English was a picture dictionary. We're starting with a few letters, so we did A through H, and they had to match the picture with the letter, and then they had to write the word for that picture. So A, they would put the apple and write apple. B, they put ball and put the picture ball, so yada yada. For their reading, they had to read The Cricket and the Ant, and they had to answer some questions about that, and they had to match, like, what did the cricket do? or sorry, not cricket, grasshopper. What did the grasshopper do? What did the ant do? And they had to put it underneath the little categories. So on the left side was the grasshopper, on the right side was the ant, and they had to basically cut out the saying and put it underneath each one. My kindergartners have a little trouble with reading, a little bit. So there's one kindergartner that does know how to read almost fluently, and he just does his work all by himself. The other two, I actually have to sit down and help them. All I have to do is point to the word and they can read it until they get to a word that they're struggling with. And then I go ahead and help them, you know, basically just pronunciate the word or to sound it out. And then they know what to do and then they can do the assignment by themselves. For the memory verse for kindergarten, we do not write it out. We simply just say it out loud 3-4 times and then they trace it. For first and second grade, they have a different memory verse than kindergarten. They actually go ahead every day and they write a few words from the memory verse. And then on Thursdays, they write it completely out. And then on Friday, they have to recite it without looking at it and then they get tested on it. So that was the afternoon. After they get all of their work done, then I go ahead and let them do an activity. So today's activity was they had to use a balancing scale to see which cup had the stronger amount, had the most amount in it without counting. First, they had to come up with their hypothesis. I think that cup A, filled with the teddy bears, the little plastic teddy bears, has more than cup B. They would write down their question, and then they were working in pairs, and then they would write out what they think. So the question would be, which cup of teddy bears has the most by weight? And then they would say, I predict that cup A has more teddy bears than cup B. And then they would do it on the weight scale, on the scale, and then they would write their answer down. Cup B had more teddy bears than cup A. My hypothesis was wrong, or my hypothesis was correct. And then they would turn that in, and they had to do that 6 times with 6 different objects, and then they were able to pack up and then go home. So we only have, usually at the end of the day, we usually have about 20 or 30 minutes to just, you know, do a little activity. And in that time, I do their planners and folders, which are, I write down their homework, I write down their spelling words, I write down the memory verse for the week, and then I write down what the homework is so the parents know what they're supposed to be doing. And then I put the homework into their folder, I hand it to them, they put it into their backpack, and then they stack their chair on their desk, make sure that their floor is cleaned up around their desk, and then they line up, and then we head down for a snack at 3. So that's our afternoon. And they actually had a really good day today. In the afternoon, we had 0 behavior problems. We had 1 in the morning time, 0 in the afternoon time, and I usually have 2 or 3 in the afternoon. But it was a really good day for Monday. Alrighty, so after work, I'm gonna go actually to eat out with my family. I'm gonna go to Applebee's and grab a bite to eat with the family. We're gonna go, and I need to grab some cardstock so that I can make my ice cream game for the kids. It's match the word with the picture, and it's going to be on ice cream cones and ice cream. So they'll have to match the word on the cone to the picture on the ice cream and put it together. And I think I'll have that ready for them by probably Wednesday. All right, so I will catch up with you guys later. Thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. Please thumbs up, subscribe, and click the notification bell, as I will be making more videos in the future. Thank you. Have a great day.